And now what you have is a big problem that is being there, because now what banks have to do is, because the value of their assets have significantly eroded, they have to do one thing which bankers like me dread. We call it provisioning, or we can call it write-offs. Bad debts, I am finished. Provisions or bad debts, or thank you for that term, write-off. Right? 1 minute, Brijesh. This value was 100 Alamgir. Today in the market, nobody is ready to buy it. I have to write off this 100. That is what is happening in Citibank today. 11 billion write-off. That is what is happening in Merrill Lynch today. 8 billion write-off. US banks are now facing a lot of problem, subprime. European banks, because they also have invested in these securities, are equally facing a problem. The contagion has spread. What do you think would have happened in emerging economies? Ye to theek hai, developed economies. What do you think would have happened in emerging economies like India? Please understand, I am a foreigner, boss. There's people out there in US whom I have to repay. Absolutely. You know what they did to the Indian economy? What they did to Brazil? What they did to Russia? What they did in India? China, not at all, because they are not allowed to go to the stock markets, right? They sold, not because Indian economy was doing badly. It is known as the ripple effect. They sold, took whatever money, they rushed to repay back the people there. Indian stock markets crashed. Indian banking sector is not affected by subprime, but Indian stock markets was affected by subprime. Why Indian bankers were not affected? I feel proud standing here in front of a global audience and saying that because of RBI. RBI is very strict. First thing that I was taught by Mr. Mishra when I was there in SBI CAPS is, whatever be the proposal, first do your due diligence properly. Please understand, people say foolish, these people don't know how to handle businesses. That precaution has saved the nationalized banks. None of them invested in this subprime paper. Whatever limited has come from some private banks, which is again notional, very limited as compared to a Paripa, as compared to a DKB, as compared to a Northern Rock, UK. Entire crisis is now blown out in front of the world. Now a very interesting thought. Very interesting thought. Nobody can estimate, in such times of crisis, you cannot estimate the quantum of the crisis. Why? Why can't you estimate? आज तक कोई पढ़ा है? किधर भी पढ़ा है? Total subprime crisis is 300 billion. Everywhere we say, we are all global finance students, no? इतना IT है, सब है, technology है. Why is nobody coming out with a report saying 1000 billion is the subprime crisis, total quantum, or 800 billion, or 1300 billion? Why is there a single article like that? Banks don't want to disclose, okay, point very well taken. It is not on real value. But what is more important is the classification changes. Dhyan se suno. Thank you for all your points. I fully endorse that. Right? The classification changes. Excuse me. What discuss karna hai? Right. Sir, you are faced with heavy losses. Suno, sir. You have to cut costs. What would be the first step that you would do? To make it efficient. What would you do? What would you do? The idea is just involve some more colleagues in the discussion. Saji sir, क्या करोगे यार? Thank you. Layoffs. Hey boss, I'm facing a problem. You have been with me for 5 years. You've done an excellent job, Nick. You've been brilliant. Don't come from tomorrow. Countrywide cut 55% jobs. Hello, he's working for Countrywide. Till yesterday he was prime customer. Till yesterday he was a prime customer. Today he's out. He does not have a job. His classification has now changed. He is now become a subprime. You're getting the logic right now?
But the government is still indebted to pay.
Yes, but earlier he was given a loan keeping in mind all that money he was getting from countrywide as salary. Today he will get a dole which will be 1/4, 1/10 of what he is getting. His category has changed on my books to subprime. Magnum, first Magnum International, sir सुन के लीजिए आप, 99% people were laid off. 99% people were laid off. किसको बाकी रखा अभी तक मालूम नहीं, CEO और डोरकीपर ही रहेगा. Okay, right? Please understand, the crisis is all over the place. I don't even know. He's there on my books here. He was in the prime, she was in the prime category. Now I don't even know. They may be subprime. You can't estimate subprime. Do you realize the problem? The problem is you can't estimate it. How do you have to go back and check? And when you go back and check, the results will be even more scary. You may again, I really like the way it is coming now, right? You may again keep on contradicting. Till date, subprime is very difficult to estimate. The crisis has erupted across. Effects are there for all of you to see. Now the response. And now I'll leave you with some good questions. Some things. What is the thing that has started all this? Lemus, what started all this subprime? In this entire discussion, Lemus? What started? You have to solve this. You are Bernac. You have to solve this. There is a crisis. Institutions are collapsing. People have lost confidence. Everywhere there is crisis. What would you do? I wanted to interact. Not a problem. Priscilla, what would you do? There is a crisis everywhere. What is the typical central bank response whenever there is crisis? Thank you. Right? I feel good when, right, I feel I have delivered. Interest rates were cut. Excuse me. For the first time, sorry, especially aapke liye, since you quoted September 11. For the first time after September 11, sir, the world's big central banks actually cut interest rates and pumped money into the system. The typical thing, I've rubbed it off, I'm sorry, put effect. Japan cut interest rates, pumped money into the system. UK cut interest rates, pumped all together. Kabhi aisa dekha nahi hai. This will happen only if there is, I like the term he used, when there is a disaster, a catastrophe. US, abhi wo question aayega. Now, one sec, I'm going to address it to you. Abhi dekho, yehi kar raha hai. Cut interest rates, put money into a system, restore confidence. What started this entire thing, thanks Priscilla, was that increase in interest rates. My God, I never could imagine this could be the effect. Now what do we do? Everywhere is exactly what is happening. They are cutting interest rates, pumping money into a system. Cutting interest rates, pumping money into a system. Sir, have you solved the problem? Galik has already got on to it. Have you solved the problem? Is the subprime crisis solved? The answer is no. We finance guys, we call this phenomenon as a rolling bubble. Hello? Rolling bubble. आज नहीं होगा, ढकल लिया उसको. Excuse me. After 6 months, after 18 months, after 2 years, after 1 month, Deepak sir, suddenly another monster will stand up. What is that? Now it is, right, low, acha laga sir, that was very spontaneous. Low interest rates. After some time, Bernac will now start thinking, hey, I've got inflation here. Subprime is not solved. Subprime is not solved. Subprime is going to have a haunting effect on global markets across the line. That's exactly why corporate managers today at every possible forum are now mentioning subprime. US today has temporarily pushed out the problem by actually lowering interest rates. Thanks Santosh for that. Problem may erupt again. What is needed, right? My last line and then I'll take any questions. What is needed in this entire scenario is, right? What is needed in this entire scenario is complete